What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? So in these CBA negotiations lately, there have been talks of a 14-team postseason. And while there are some out there that don't like the idea, I think it might not be as bad as you might think. So in this video, I'm going to give you some reasons to why it might be a good idea. Let's go talk about it. Reason number one, more postseason shares. So as of right now, the way Major League Baseball does their postseason shares is as follows. Each postseason team receives a share of the money earned from playoff gate receipts. The World Series champion receives the highest percentage of the pool, followed by the World Series runner-up, and so on. So as of right now, the players' pool is formed from 50% of the gate receipts from the wild card game. So if you're going to be adding 4 more wild card teams overall, hey, that's just more money for more players involved. Reason number two, it could give teams more of a reason to spend money. Now, I know the players have argued if you increase the amount of spots in the postseason, teams might not be willing to spend the money because, well, there's more spots and maybe they can try and see if they can get to the postseason with what they have without having to spend that money. But if it were me, if I were the owner of an organization and I saw that my team maybe had a pretty good chance of making it to the postseason, I'm going to go out there, maybe spend try and get a few more players on the free agent market, see if my team can make that push, because if my team can get to the playoffs, well, that's just going to be a win-win for my organization. We're just going to look even better. Now, if we take a look at last year's standings, if you ever were to have a 14-team postseason last year, in the American League, you would have seen the Blue Jays and the Mariners, and in the National League, you would have seen the Phillies and the Reds. Now, with the Toronto Blue Jays, they spent a lot of money last offseason, but hey, maybe they can give them more of a reason. Go out and get another free agent out there. Same thing with the Mariners, go out and get another free agent or two. Maybe even teams like the Guardians and the Tigers, where, these two teams, especially the Guardians, I think the Guardians could be an underrated team in 2022. And the Tigers, they've already spent a little bit of money this postseason. Maybe those kind of teams can go out there, maybe go get another reliever, maybe go get another bat, try and improve their chances of trying to get one of those 7 postseason spots. And same thing for the National League. We got the Reds, the Phillies. Maybe they can go out there, maybe, especially with most likely an increased CBT. Maybe you could see the Phillies go out there, maybe go sign another guy. Maybe the Reds, I don't know, they like to, try and cut costs, but who knows? Maybe they would want to maybe go after another guy. Because if you can get into the postseason, anything can happen. We know the Padres, the Mets, they like to spend the money as well. But, maybe even teams like the Marlins, the Cubs. Cubs are in a bit of a retool. But, hey, look at what they did this offseason, signing Marcus Stroman. The Marlins, they signed Aviseo Garcia. Maybe you could see some other teams get in on the mix in free agency. I think overall, if you increase the amount of spots in the postseason, yes, I could see the argument for teams not wanting to spend the money, see if you can get there with what you have. But then there's also teams out there, hey, maybe they're willing to spend that extra buck. Reason number 3, Major League Baseball could expand down the road. There's always talks of Major League Baseball looking to expand. The last time we had an expansion was with the Tampa Bay Rays, and actually the Tampa Bay Devil Rays back in 1998, along with the Arizona Diamondbacks. But that's the last time Major League Baseball has added teams to the league. But maybe sometime in the next 5 to 10 years, maybe we could see a couple more teams get added to the mix. There's a lot of cities that could use a baseball team. If we take a look, Montreal, that was the one with the Tampa Bay Rays. Maybe they could split time between Tampa and Montreal. There's been talks of Charlotte in North Carolina maybe getting a team. Mexico City, baseball-rich area. Maybe another team in Texas, San Antonio, Las Vegas. There's been talks of the A's maybe going to Las Vegas, or maybe the A's could stay in Oakland and you can just add a team in Las Vegas. Portland, we got Nashville. That's a growing city. Nashville, they would love to get a baseball team. San Juan. There are plenty of cities that could use a Major League Baseball team and that would love to have a Major League Baseball team. But Rob Manfred has been on the record saying, Manfred has said repeatedly that Major League Baseball will not consider expansion until the Oakland A's and Tampa Bay Rays get new ballparks. Well, those two organizations are looking like maybe they're on their way to getting new ballparks. The Rays to Montreal, that's completely off the table now. And it's looking like maybe they're trying to move forward with building a new stadium in Tampa. They're currently in St. Petersburg. They're not in Tampa, but they're looking to see if they can get together with the city of Tampa and build a stadium. They were in talks with Tampa a few years ago about possibly doing it, and maybe this time they can finally get it done. And there have been talks of the A's going to Las Vegas, but recently the Oakland City Council voted 6-2 to certify the environmental impact study. So that is a big step in the right direction for building a new stadium in Oakland. So if Major League Baseball can get these two organizations new stadiums, I would not be surprised one bit to see Major League Baseball start to come out and say, hey, yeah, we're looking at the idea of expanding. So if you have more teams, hey, let's say 32 teams, 14 postseason spots. So I think that would kind of ease, I guess, is the pain the right word of adding having a 14-team postseason. It would definitely, 14 out of 30 teams, that's pretty much half the league. But if it's 14 out of 32, I don't think that's as bad. Reason number 4, more stars on the big stage. Tell me that you would have not liked to have seen Vladimir Guerrero Jr., one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball last year, in the postseason. If there was a 14-team postseason last season, we would have seen the Blue Jays and the Mariners in the postseason in the American League. Vlad Jr., with how crazy he was last year, again, one of the best players in the game, that would have been cool to see him in whatever format they would want to do. I mean, Vlad Jr. hitting bombs in the postseason, that sounds pretty fun to me. Not against my Red Sox, though. And then you also got, someone like Bo Bichette on the same team as well. Over in the National League, if it were last year, if the 14-team postseason would have happened last year, we would have seen the Reds and the Phillies in the National League. Jonathan India, Rookie of the Year last year. Would have been fun to see what he could do in the postseason. Speaking of the National League, Bryce Harper, National League MVP. Would have been fun to see him back in the postseason. So there's a lot of teams that have these players that really could thrive on the big stage. And then, speaking of teams, the Phillies, some great starting pitching last year, led by Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Zach Eflin. Those three guys in the postseason, Zach Eflin was having some injuries last year, but Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, have those two go in the postseason. You never know what could happen. Same thing with the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, they had some good starting pitching of their own. Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle, Wade Miley, Sonny Gray. I mean, that's a rotation that can carry you deep into the postseason. They had a pretty good offense as well. It was an up and down team, but hey, postseason baseball, you got your best starting pitching going. You never know what could happen. And also the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners were a team last year that just missed out 2 games out of the second wildcard spot, but that was such a clutch team last year. One of the most clutch teams of all time. Hey, we love those clutch moments in postseason baseball. That would have been fun to see if maybe they could have created some postseason magic. Overall, if you can get more of these stars on the big stage and, some of these teams, hey, it could have been fun to see. And last but not least, reason number 5, it would be fun. Tell me that this would not be a fun experience. Let's say, again, I don't know how they would format it exactly. In my personal opinion, I would do a wild card tournament where I'd have all of the division winners advance to the division round. And then in the wild card tournament, you would have the 4 seed go against the 7 seed and the 5 seed go against the 6 seed. And then the winner of that eventual mini tournament would advance to the division round to go against the number 1 seed. But let's say if you just had the 1 seed advance to the division round last year, that would have been Tampa getting the bye. You would have had Houston go up against Seattle. That's a division matchup. That could be pretty fun. You would have had Toronto and the White Sox, 2 really good offenses. That could have been a pretty fun matchup. Still would have had the Red Sox and the Yankees. Who knows how that could have changed things up in the American League. In the National League, you would have had the Giants. If you were to go with just the 1 seed getting a bye, the Giants would have moved on to the division round. You would have had the Brewers and the Phillies. Hey, good starting pitching there with those 2 teams. Corbin Burns, Zach Wheeler in a 1-game playoff. That sounds pretty fun to me. We would have had the Braves and the Reds. Again, good starting pitching on both sides. Good lineups overall. That would have been fun. Still would have had the Dodgers and the Cardinals. I mean, to me, more opportunities for postseason magic. I mean, who knows what could have happened if we had a 14-team postseason. Overall, I think there's a lot of chances for there to be just more fun moments, maybe even more historic moments as well. So those are my reasons for having a 14-team postseason. Let me know your thoughts down below. How many teams would you want to have in the playoffs? Would you want 14, 12? Do you want to stick with 10? Let me know down below in the comments. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.